Pluto stations retrograde on May 6th at 5 degrees 31 minutes of Aquarius and will travel back to 3 degrees 4 minutes of Aquarius until October 16th. Every year for half the year, Pluto is in retrograde. This is a typical pattern and cycle. But this year, the energies are dialed up, they are more intense, and this will make it a more world-changing time of Pluto retrograde. So we're going to dig into what that's going to look like here over the next number of months. Now, Pluto is bringing our attention to how we're ready to evolve and transform. Pluto does that through every astrology sign. And in Aquarius, it's asking us to face our authentic self, to understand more of who you are at an individual level, to love and accept all of yourself, and to also be willing to adjust and powerfully change your life expectations. Pluto in Aquarius is bringing our attention to the areas of our lives that are actually meant to look wildly different than what we expected or what we thought. But I feel that's so commonplace these days. I mean, I'm sure many of you will raise your hand and say, my life is moving in a totally different direction than what I expected or what I had planned. That's a big part of this awakening cycle. But Pluto in Aquarius is also bringing your attention to how you can feel empowered as you become more of your authentic self in this phase of ascension, and with a deeper knowingness around what you're here to experience in this lifetime. I feel like this Pluto in Aquarius is actually quite empowering in how we can feel ready to do something very different, wildly new, and unexpected. You might find that it's easier to say yes to things that seemed like a distant potential or only maybe a wild possibility. I feel like this Pluto in Aquarius is also activating deeper knowingness that what you're here for in this lifetime is significant. There's something about this Pluto in Aquarius that wants us to feel strong and empowered around what we're evolving on the planet globally and collectively that is special and rare. So I offer that in case that resonates, but also to elevate the consciousness of Pluto in Aquarius, because over the next number of years, especially, the world is going to be changing rapidly with all of these incoming technologies, advancements, futuristic developments, all of these things that maybe we thought were only possible in the Jetsons or sci-fi movies. All of that is starting to creep into our reality and be a part of our everyday world. Pluto in Aquarius, I feel, is sending some type of special frequency to remind us this is what we're here for, that we wanted to be a part of this consciousness evolution and this grand shift on the planet. And so coming back to what is unfolding over the next number of months, Pluto in Aquarius is where we're going to feel and sense how deeply the world is shifting because of that higher intention to change the world, to evolve humanity, to move into more 5D and more elevated consciousness. And so we're going to be moving through some choppy waters in order to get there. And this is unfolding because this Pluto in Aquarius is going to have oppositions to Jupiter in Leo, also is going to be squaring Chiron in Taurus. Now, Pluto in Aquarius is going to be asking us to be more futuristic in our problem solving, to think long term, to understand what's going to potentially serve us and what's not. And there's going to be things that are going to quickly fall away because they're no longer effective. They're no longer useful, and they don't serve what we're creating next. So when that is understood, it helps us to be perhaps a little bit more prepared for the endings and turmoil that is highly likely here over the next number of months. Pluto opposing Jupiter in Leo signifies that power dynamics are going to be permanently changing. Jupiter in Leo is a very creative life force. It is confident, it is bold, it seeks to be seen and recognized. It brings about our innate gifts that we want to share, where we want to shine. Jupiter in Leo is going to be highly activating not only our creative spirit and our willpower, but also our hearts, what we love, what we desire, what we have passion for. On the other end of the spectrum, Jupiter in Leo can also be the energy of a supreme leader or someone who wants total control, wants to be the ultimate decision maker, who wants all the power. And that energy is coming up against Pluto that says, actually, I'm stronger. I have more of the power. And this Pluto in Aquarius represents humanity and the collective. So essentially, this opposition is going to bring up what leaders, those in charge, those who have power, how they are using their power, and if it is something that is serving the people or not. So extreme power struggles here. And this can unfold, of course, in many ways, but it brings our attention to how are you using your willpower? How are you connected to your heart in your leadership and in your decision making? How are you opening up your energy field to recognize and accept others? Or is there a shutdown and a stonewalling of the energies that don't want to take into account other people? So you could see this Jupiter in Leo as a single person or a single entity. And then this Pluto in Aquarius is the masses, the audience, the collective. There's going to be power struggles between the two in July. And this is when the energies are going to reach a culmination. July is a world-changing month. July has a lot of creative energy around it, meaning whatever is demolished, whatever falls down and is no longer used, is no longer useful. It's also going to be a time where we seek out more inspired directions, pathways, and opportunities. This opposition between Pluto retrograde in Aquarius and Jupiter in Leo is going to be a big deal. Of course, I'll have more videos for you discussing it, but they aren't acting alone. This is happening at 4 degrees of each sign, and we also have to bring into play Uranus in Gemini, which will be at 4 degrees, and Neptune in Aries, also at 4 degrees. When you have all 3 outer planets plus Jupiter in Leo, all in the same degree point of 4 degrees, there is an intense world-changing development unfolding that is cosmically right on time, and it brings up these power struggles and control dynamics that will be very evident with Jupiter and Leo. So this is just something to have a heads up about in terms of where we're going, what is unfolding during this particular Pluto retrograde. But know that there is a lot of potential volatility here. Willpower struggles. There's a sense of my way or the highway, ultimatums. push comes to shove, and when the energies are this strong and this dynamic, the strongest force is Pluto. And so Pluto is going to come up against a life-changing, global changing confrontation and potential escalation of events, developments, whatever may be going on. And I know we can take this information and apply it to current events, but I want to look at it from an energetic standpoint of how this is going to support our ascension and require us to be even clearer in where we are holding strong in what we desire, what we want, what we need. I'm feeling this as an energy that seeks new, higher solutions related to 5D energies and consciousness, meaning the growth here and the transformation is because we are being forced to evolve. And it's that pressure to evolve that is giving us important choice points around how to go higher, how to elevate out of whatever is locked in or intensely confrontational. How do we go higher to see new potentials and possibilities? I'm intentionally speaking in very general terms so that one, you can apply it to your own experiences, but two, it's also something that, we don't know exactly how things are going to play out at a global level, but this is the energy of world developments that require great intentionality in order to go higher and get where we need to go. And not everyone is equipped to do so. This could mean that there are people that are no longer going to be on the planet. They're no longer a fit for how the population is evolving or how the world is ascending. This can also mean that there are going to be some very big developments that unfold that require us to remain in our heart space. That's also Jupiter and Leo. And that can be difficult at times. And I don't mean that as just like a unicorn, love, light, and bliss thing. I mean, how do we stay in our heart space with compassion for others as human beings on the planet when there is an intensity, when there maybe is a lot that's stirred up and going on? How do we stay in our heart space? Well, that could be your own personal practice or something that you turn to as needed, but this is going to be essential, especially in July, is to be in a state of willingness to accept what is and to have greater compassion as needed for others who are moving through this human experience. That is part of this Pluto retrograde. And then after that intense opposition between Jupiter and Pluto, we move into Pluto then getting back to 3 degrees of Aquarius. And by then, Chiron is in Taurus. Now, Chiron is in Taurus from the middle of June till about the middle of September. So only a few months this year. And Chiron only stays at 0 degrees of Taurus. And so Pluto squaring Chiron brings up our fear of loss and lack. Chiron in Taurus is where we fear losing things that we value. The Taurus energy wants to possess, invest, accumulate, own. This is mine. I own this. This is what I value. This is what is special to me. Chiron comes in here and brings up questions that the Taurus energy fears. This is the case for Chiron through every sign, and Chiron brings up the wound of that sign. So that weakness in Taurus is, what if I lose this? What if I have less? What if I don't own this? And so Chiron is going to be bringing up, what do we really need that's essential? And what does it mean to me? What does it mean to my life and my lifestyle? And maybe I have too much and I would do better off simplifying, getting rid of more things, downsizing. So Chiron is going to be here at 0 degrees of Taurus. I believe it's June 19th, June 18th, June 19th to September 15th and 16th. And it's going to bring our attention to what we have taken on and accumulated, and ask us to look at it realistically. Do you really need all those throw pillows? But it's even more severe than that, because this brings in what we need for survival. At a very deep level of our being, of our human consciousness, Taurus is what you need in order to survive: food, water, clothing, shelter. Pluto squaring this Chiron in Taurus is going to start to break up and shake up what we thought we would always own and keep. And when I look at this energy, the first place my mind goes to is financial systems, the economy, money, savings accounts, investments, insurance, everything that maybe you've contributed to for decades. It brings up where we have sought security. And here comes that first Pluto square that challenges those energies, that challenges those essentials. And so this could be the beginning of some significant changes in financial markets and economic systems. And this can bring up new understandings of what you buy and own, what you put money into, again, how you live your life. Clearly, this is a much bigger topic, and I'll be discussing it more, but it's a part of this Pluto retrograde, and I want to give you a heads up about it. Again, this energy is going to be the strongest in August, which is also eclipse season. So Pluto retrograde gets to 3 degrees of Aquarius and will start to have a little bit of a square to this Chiron in Taurus. And there's things that we're going to be required to adjust and make changes around. And it's going to bring up what you're ready, or actually more like what you're not ready to sell or get rid of, but you're sensing maybe I want to, or maybe I don't need this. So then that to me brings up our belief systems around wealth, manifestation, and abundance. Because we have so much wealth on this planet, and I don't just mean monetarily. I mean the wealth that is found through nature, the abundance that naturally exists on this planet through multiple means, multiple forms. But in our modern day everyday lives, we typically think of abundance as financial or monetary. We think of it as, oh, well, it's what I have in the bank, or it's what I can spend money on when I go to the store. I feel that this Pluto in Aquarius starting to square Chiron in Taurus is going to have us reconfiguring our belief systems around wealth consciousness, what it means to live an abundant, wealthy life beyond what we thought it had to look like. It's less about materialism and collecting things and owning things. And there could be some new breakthroughs that transpire around what it means to live a good life, to feel abundant, strong, powerful, and wealthy that's beyond simply finances. And that is part of the spiritual growth, if you will, of this cycle. And that's also where we have the opportunity to look at the Taurus value system in a new way. So I offer that as just some things to ponder and share with you, again, during this Pluto retrograde, which is very significant because it involves these other strong aspects that are going to be changing the globe and shifting what is possible on this planet. So Pluto remains retrograde until the middle of October, only moving back to 3 degrees 4 minutes of Aquarius. That means that during this retrograde, Pluto is moving very slowly, only covering 3 degrees, and is moving with sort of this deeper dive into each degree point. So if you have planets or points between 3 to 5 degrees of Aquarius, you are moving through an intense cycle here in your evolution that has the power to change your value system and bring you into deeper connection with your heart, your creative spirit, and your willpower. Clearly, we'll be discussing this more over the next few months, but this is just a heads up into what's to come as we continue to move through 2026 and these very big energies on the planet. Now, to be fair, I know we've talked about this for a few years now, that these are world-changing years and that there's big developments unfolding, and that is certainly the case through the rest of this decade. So just know that we are meant to be evolving and shifting many areas of our lives, but I hope, I offer this as an intention, that it sets you free from past versions of self, previous levels of consciousness, and former realities that are no longer in alignment with your best and highest good. And that is one of the best gifts of Pluto, is that Pluto changes your life and your energy permanently. And I hope that feels empowering as we move through these shifts. So thank you for joining me for this video. I will be back to discuss more of these energies in the weeks and months ahead, of course. As always, thank you for connecting with me here on my YouTube channel and being a part of this awesome community. Such wonderful people here. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for those of you that I'm also able to meet this year in person. So I look forward to seeing more of you over the next few months. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you back here soon.